It probably came across very differently to someone that has watched it since we were kids. So like a big caveat is that we are not as invested, and so we may not appreciate the nostalgia that the movie was trying to give us. Hey guys!
So it's a new year, new BACKLIT, and today we're going to be kicking off the year with Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Right, so what do we think about it?
We didn't really like it. We watched it separately, but both of us didn't really like it.
Yeah.
Now let's like go straight into like the problems. The first thing is this idea of nostalgia. Our kind of thesis statement is that this movie is afflicted by the curse of nostalgia, and this curse of nostalgia leads to a lack of consequences and agency for its characters, and this results in a movie that is directionless and unsatisfying for viewers.
To put it simply.
Yes. So, okay, what do we mean by these two things? So we mean two things. They brought characters back from the dead, and we can see this literally and figuratively. Like literally, they bring the characters back from the dead, like they kill them off and then bring them back, and like figuratively in like spirit form, like they come back, like they appear again in the final movie. So the first thing we want to talk about is how literally cheating death leads to a lack of consequences. Each scene and event needs to serve a purpose. So no matter what...
To develop something.
Yeah, to develop something. So no matter what story element or like plot arc that is, that needs to serve a purpose in driving the plot forward. And it's bonus points if like this particular event pushes, like has more than one purpose in like pushing the plot forward lah. And we can see that the writers of Star Wars can actually do this. Like we actually saw it in the movie. Like they had like Rey and Kylo Ren fight in that shared telepathy space like 3 times, and so we see like when they fight in Kylo Ren's quarters and then Darth Vader's old helmet like crosses the boundary. Yes, like it shows you two things. Firstly, it tells him where she is, and secondly, it reinforces the fact that objects can be passed through, so that when she passes the lightsaber like this, that was freaking cool.
The audience knows what's going on.
Yeah, the audience is like, yes.
Why, how?
It makes sense, and like cheating death is also like a plot element that needs to serve a purpose. And this is actually quite well done when we talk about Chewie. So like Rey kills him, like she blows up the transport for like 2 reasons. Firstly, is to discover her lightning powers, and secondly, she starts being afraid of herself, which pushes her towards like trying to find answers. When we realize that he's alive, that serves another purpose because it pushes Rey, Finn and Poe to go and rescue him, which leads Rey to go and find Kylo Ren, which pushes her forward even more. So that is done well. Chewie is done well. And so we see that they can do it. But then, when they do it with CP3O, it just falls apart. Like, what's going on, man? Okay, so CP3O died, right?
He mentally died.
He mentally died. Like,
forgot everything. That's basically that.
Yeah, and they gave us hints that he would die. In that even in the trailer it was like,
what are you doing there, 3PO?
Taking one last look, sir, at my friends.
When we see that, we expect sadness, but immediately after like he's erased, the tone switches. Like it doesn't even seem like he died. Like just seeing that is a little bit awful because it's not paying enough homage to a character that is so beloved.
It felt like they were ramping up to something. They were really, it was all the way to when C3PO was like, I want to take a last look at my friends. And then right after that, it just seemed like a whole new take when they were like, oh yeah, see ya. So at first I was mad, like, why is... Then I realized, oh wait, no way. They're just gonna bring him back, isn't he? And of course,
when he comes back, like via R2's backups, okay, like fine if you're gonna bring him back, but like what purpose is he gonna serve? Like that needs to drive the plot forward in some way, and it's just out of nowhere it comes back. I mean, like they could have had CP3O talk to like the small little droid about finding like the map. But then no, they had Finn talk to the small little droid, so that CP3O didn't even serve any purpose. It was just like, okay, fine, then why'd you kill him?
It's just so much to unpackage right now.
Okay, so second thing, we want to talk about second thing, which is the lack of consequences with regards to a spiritual kind of return from death, which is basically like the four spirits are. More than a lack of consequences, it leads to a lack of agency on the part of our current characters. So in like the Star Wars universe, four spirits seem to intervene at almost every critical moment in like the entire plot. Like whenever like Rey or Kylo Ren are making an important decision that really pushes forward their character and shows them overcoming their challenges, we get a four spirit that tells them, here's what you can do, A, B, C, and then they just do it.
Okay, but there's some points that it was good. There were some points that were well done. Like, Rey was called to rise by so many voices around her, like all telling her, by the old timers that we recognize. Okay, they were all like telling her, you know, to encouraging her to carry on. That one was good because it wasn't a major like you know, here's a cop out.
Like for Rey, in order to overcome her fear of herself and push forward and become like a Jedi, I want to see that happen from her own choices. I want to see her do that herself.
It's not going to be as effective of a journey of self-discovery if the character has the hand held all the time. Especially in this Star Wars movie, where four spirits play a huge role in how they make the decisions.
Understanding that it makes for a less effective story if we keep bringing back old characters and taking away the agency of the current characters we're looking at, then we ask the question, why do we even do it? And the answer for Star Wars, quite obviously, is nostalgia. Even if it makes no sense, even if it detracts from the plot, if you first watch these movies as a teenager, and now in 2019 you're watching the latest one, the final finale, like you're gonna get the feelings, I guess, like once you hear these voices and see these faces. And so like this movie becomes a feel-good rush for long-time fans, and it's not going to take any risks that will make people dissatisfied. And the safest way to do that is to rely on what's worked, and what's worked are characters that they've seen before. Fan service is not all bad, I would say, because we kind of like that they keep the old school opening theme and the ending as well. And we also like that they keep the old school transitions, like the kind of Microsoft PowerPoint transitions that, like not the straight up cuts that you see in like contemporary films, which is a good thing. But then again, when nostalgia starts to affect the plot and starts affecting how new viewers look at the film, it starts becoming a lot more ineffective.
But maybe that's not just all, a nostalgia thing. I mean, we completely understand that in Star Wars, historically, there's been moments in Star Wars where dead people come back from the dead. It's not just we're complaining about them coming from the dead, but we're complaining about this, using it as a crutch to advance the plot.
So right now, like to recap what we've covered, is that there is a lack of consequences, mainly because of the curse of nostalgia. And this curse of nostalgia leads to 1, lack of consequences, and 2, lack of agency. And we want to link this all together into something that actually says something meaningful about Star Wars. And what we have is this. Star Wars is very much about good and evil. Star Wars is about white and black, light and dark, Jedi and Sith. And because of that, there is no in-between in the Star Wars worldview, which is something that we're very familiar with, especially if you've watched like the original trilogies, that if you're good and you're Jedi, then you're confirmed good until the end. And if you're bad and you're Sith, you're confirmed Sith until the end. The people that fall in between those two things, like Anakin Skywalker and Kylo Ren in this case, they essentially, from bad, turn good, save someone or something, and then die. There's no ending to that redemption arc, and because of that we lack a full-bodied development of these two characters that lie in between. And so it sounds a little bit reductive, and it really is. And because of this black and white worldview, this leads to number 1, a lack of consequences. Because heroes always live, because heroes are good, because heroes deserve to live. Secondly, this leads to a lack of agency, because if you are good and you're a hero, then you confirm will have people that support you, because they're all good together and there's no doubt in that, there's no grey line. And so this is something that links back to what Star Wars is as a whole, like the Star Wars worldview. And it essentially encompasses what we said was essentially Star Wars. Like the fact that 4 spirits always come back, the fact that there is very little consequences for heroes, the fact that we don't really deal in death, we just deal in reincarnation. Not reincarnation. Like, help me, pick me. What's the word for like coming back from the dead?
Revival.
Revival. We deal in revival. Yes. Okay. That's it. Too short.
All right.